Hello, and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. And here today we will be talking about mainly the newest Kite Man episode, which just released today. Kite Man, hell yeah, as you can see at the bottom here. But we are going to be talking about the episode, but we're also going to be talking about a little bit of Superman, as we love to talk about nowadays. That's just seems to be a consistent thing, even after the film wrapped. Well, a few days ago during Comic-Con, there was merch that was dropped. So we will be talking about how that was, sold out very quickly, but now it looks like it's being restocked. So you might get a chance to pre-order a shirt before the film comes out, hopefully, if it doesn't get, sold out again. And then finally, we'll hopefully, if we can get time to talk about it, we will talk about the Batman Cape Crusader, which released today. All 10 episodes are currently on Amazon Prime Video, and we will be discussing some episode titles and the actual, I don't know what to call it, the episode like title that is showcased on the show. So to do that and much more, I am here with Bridget today. How are you doing today? I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Sorry. No problem.
Am
No
I on?
problem.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I was very animatedly saying that they've had a bit of a surviving the day sort of day today. Just
right, of course.
and all the things like calling my bank, the DMV, life thing.
Right, of course. But
yeah,
we're here
so
to
just kind of tired. But
talk about Kite Man. So
this is the highlight of my day for sure.
But yeah, so hopefully we can, brighten your spirits a little bit. But yeah, so first things first, the newest Kite Man episode. Well, as I have been a stark, defender of of all this, and I know a lot of people, it's one of those shows that's like not as, beloved. It's weird character, weird sort of story, and all that. But I felt that this episode was probably one of the weaker episodes that has come out. Unfortunately,
Really?
I mean, it's not bad, but it was a little bit I don't want to say derivative, but a little bit, you know, uh awkward, I guess. It just felt a little bit too cliche,
Yeah.
not jumping the shark, but a little bit cliche, like, oh, we got to do an obligatory time travel episode. And it just kind of fell into the cliches a bit, unfortunately. But outside of that, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the episode? Like, we finally get a little bit more Bane this episode, and we get a little bit more on their relationship. But what were your thoughts overall on this episode?
Yeah.
Did you like it more than me? Did you like it less than me? Were you like horrified with what you saw?
Actually, I really liked this episode. I don't know, maybe everything for time travel. I mean, you're right. It had those cliches, but I just thought it was kind of funny. Like even all the 80s jokes. I mean,
Right.
I wasn't here in the 80s. Don't really.
Neither was I.
I know a bit about it, but just hearing some of the things, hearing some of those jokes was just even like funny.
Yeah.
I love the part specifically. If it's okay to include spoilers, where
yes, it'll
like,
be
oh
spoilers.
So
if you haven't seen it, don't watch it. So feel free to spoil. It's only 25 minutes.
Yes.
It's okay. So spoil away.
Okay. I found the part so fun when Bane is like, oh, the 80s so unregulated and dangerous. I love it. It's just that cracked me up. I don't know. But yeah, I really like the humor in it. It just I also do like how they kind of blend the whole superhero world, but like at the same time, it's like I guess these kind of problems that we have in real life, when you start a relationship
this side of
and you're
it,
learning about your partner. But of course it's in a very really like humorous, ridiculous light, like, oh, I just killed my parents is what she did. But I just think that it just, I don't know, makes it so much funnier, how it kind of I don't know, amplifies the same real day world problems that we have in a humorous context.
Right. And it's through like the eyes of like villains. I know like that's kind of like the thing nowadays, like with you got to go like with the Suicide Squad route, and but even then it's like it's still I think
very
and
anti-hero.
Yeah, and I think what Kite Man really gets right, and I think I've mentioned this before, is how like it is pretty funny, but it also like you do have like you genuinely care about these characters, even though they're villains. Like literally, the episode starts with them robbing a truck, and then it's like, oh, it's like the whole subversion of
Right.
you think it's like loot or gold or something. No, it's just like an IKEA
like,
truck.
what are they after?
And it's like, and it's
Which
just
was
like, it's so silly.
hilarious.
That was so funny. I'm like, what the hell would
I
they be
love that,
stealing? They
yeah.
didn't really steal that much, but no, it's just like, oh, but don't put it
Yeah.
next to the Florgenberg. Like, I'm sorry, I can never get sick of Bane's voice. I love the parody of The Dark Knight Rises voice. It just, it's so inherently funny to me. That I can't help but
so
I can't help but love it. So you know, with that,
no, I thought it had a particularly it had a particularly good hook in the beginning. I thought with that scene,
yeah,
just
that
like
a good hook.
Oh, moving into an apartment.
Yeah, and I love. I will say, even though it was a little bit derivative, a little bit cliched, I guess. I still really enjoyed it. Like I really enjoyed the like, you know, just Bane having fun, like being in the 80s, like, oh my god, this is like cigarettes, chocolate, what's next? Chocolate beer. And then all that. And then but you also had like the emotional side that like I really like with Golden Glider and her not being able to, you know, control her powers, and Kite Man just trying to help because he's like, but it's not like out of like malice. It's just like, yeah, he's not like the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's like trying so hard, and he's like trying to be the best boyfriend. I'm gonna Jack Ryan it, and you know, like it just like he perfectly rides that line of like happy idiot, where it's like he's not too annoying, where it's just like he's not like too much of an idiot where it's annoying, but he's not too much of like you know, a like wholesome where it just becomes like too naive, and you're just then that becomes annoying as well. So I love how they ride that line, and Matt Oberg does a really good job with that. I love Golden Glider as well. So I love their relationship very much. So what are your thoughts on like the more like character driven moments of not necessarily this episode, but of like the show? Do you kind of feel the same way, or do you feel like it's not as good as I do? Curious.
No, I do, and I like how they complement each other so well too. It makes it just that's the thing. It's even though it's animated, it's just a really fun relationship to watch, because he is such a lovable character. Even if he does something wrong, even you see the love that Golden Glider has for him. She's like will defend him at any cost because she just loves him. But she's more of like the kind of wears the pants in the relationship. A little more
a little
like
bit, yeah.
She knows what she wants. But that's I think it makes it so nice, and then too, like with the whole situation, trying to find more about her past and stuff, and she doesn't want to talk about it. Still, it's like it's hard not to, even though he does kind of cross the line and go to her brother when she said not to, and finds out this very revealing information. You can't help but also feel like, well, he does kind of have a point, when he says like, well, we in this relationship should know like some basic information about each other. Like, I don't know, the fact that your parents are dead and we own this bar and are living on top of it. It's like, he's you can see he's coming from a good place.
Yeah, that's I think that's just one of the many great things about this show. So I think if there was anything I love like the another really good joke that I liked was like to go back to the future. He's like, okay, you have to do something very specific. You have to pee in the toilet and then flush it. And it's just like, okay, like I will say I was really worried with, especially with the title of the episode being Portal. I'm like, oh god, are they gonna go with like poop jokes and pee? Luckily it was just those like two jokes of like Bane going to the bathroom and then that pee joke, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like there was like it does that again. That kind of adds to like the whole nature of the episode, which again, it's a good episode, but it's like
Right.
a little bit too juvenile. It's like, don't go with poop and pee jokes, and they're really not the best. But I will say the pee joke made me laugh. But yeah, I love Jonathan Banks as Noonan. He's
accurate.
great. And then you have the you have like the whole like I gotta draw, and he like scrawls out an entire message. And then I was thinking about it while watching the episode. I'm like, did Noonan not think to scrape that out? Okay, sure.
Right. Ever. Don't think too hard about it.
I just like I could see him like going back to his apartment, like, might as well keep it up, right?
Right. Actually.
I guess like maybe that's why he put the wallpaper over it, the cheesy wallpaper. But yeah, I think but yeah, I also liked seeing Captain Cold this episode because I was like, is he ever gonna show up? But yeah, I thought he was like, I wish there was a little bit more to him rather than just like the guy who lives in a fucking ice cream truck. But it's like, all right, they got to do something funny with him. So like, okay, let's do something funny. And
he's a little like a butt of a joke kind of character.
Yeah. But even though I do like the more serious sides of the character and like the comics and the Flash TV series, but the thing I really wanted to talk about before we move on, and I was really curious to know your thoughts now, someone who's like finally getting into the show, with the ending with her mother, which big cliffhanger, the whole episode, again, spoiler alert, is that like her parents get killed in the bar, but Bane saves her mom because he's like in love with her. But then she's like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want now, and then just fucking leaves. And he's like, well, okay, there goes that.
Right.
But it's revealed in the present that something, she's in a jail cell now because she lived the life she always wanted to live, which was, I guess, doing crime. And now then there's like this spooky mist that comes in and like chokes her and kills her, and then it cuts to black. So I was curious because like what now binging the show, what are your thoughts on that ending? Who or what do you think it teases for the future of the show?
I have no idea, but I so badly wish the next episode was out so I could know, because I was like, oh, come on, which I know they do, but it's like, yeah, it's very intriguing as to who her mother is and who's got her in their possession.
Yeah, and who's like the green?
It's definitely a setup for something bigger.
Yeah, like they're gonna finally like have like a real ongoing story arc. So I think because I was thinking like, who would it be? Because like I'm thinking, I know I'm like the bigger nerd here. I'm not trying to put you down or anything, but I'm like going through my DC knowledge.
How dare you?
Okay, who would it be? Because it was a woman laughing. I'm like, maybe there's a character called the Mist who is able to turn into green mist. So I'm like, maybe it's the Mist, but I'm like, I don't know why they would like set up this character. So it's like it's got to be somebody like really big. So maybe it has something to do with Poison Ivy because it's green. I don't know. Maybe she's like getting revenge or something. I don't know. I hope they don't do that because that would be dumb, and I don't think she would care enough about Kite Man. But I don't know. I'm just like, in terms of like my theory, I would say it's probably a character that's going to properly get built up through the rest. So I would say they're teasing this and we're not going to know anything. But then the next episode, they're obviously not going to talk about it. They're just going to talk about like something else. And then they're going to like constantly tease it through the rest of the season. And then throughout that buildup, we're going to like finally like be able to figure out, because it's like, what we have has not been like teased the rest of the season. Like through the first 3 episodes, we haven't really gotten that. It was mainly like episodic stuff, not really an ongoing arc. So I think we're just gonna get this,
and it's like a thread that will,
and like just that one thread, and then we're just gonna get this like through line with this like super small subplot, and then like maybe like 2 or 3 episodes later, we're gonna be able to properly have theories. So I think that is definitely going to be the case. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good episode. It was probably the weakest of the season so far. It kind of does like a cliched thing I'm not a huge fan of, even though I love time travel movies. Ironically, I just I just felt once you do a
Oh.
time travel episode, more often than not, that you're kind of jumping the shark a little bit. Not totally, not all the time, but like,
Yeah.
that's it's usually the
It's hard.
case. But
Yeah.
even then, I still think it was
And
good. It was good.
as you said, as you said too, with your little like plot hole of like, well, wouldn't he cover it up? And it's I think it does happen a lot too with time travel movies. Is it just
Yeah.
doesn't it's hard to stay consistent and make things always make sense. But you know what also reminds me of one more little joke I loved was the record young Sheldon on DVR while I'm mowing.
Yeah.
So
Which is
funny.
funny because it's not this
And
clearly the show was like animated and voiced way before because it's not on anymore. It ended. So,
right from the strike.
so I felt that was like sort of an unintentional joke a little bit. I liked that though.
Right.
But yeah, I think overall the
And
new oh no, sorry, what were you gonna say?
sorry, I was gonna say to you, I don't watch. I mean, from the last week when you were talking about this, really got me intrigued to watch the series, and now I've been hooked. But I don't usually watch much animated stuff, and I know there's like a ton of animated programs out there, especially in the DC premises going on. But it almost reminds me of the show I loved, which was like What's New Scooby Doo, and it was kind of like same animation style and
Yeah.
same kind of thing where it was like one long through line that like each episode you like a
Right.
little snippet in each one, and then at the end it does build up into that thing. So I think you're pretty spot on with how this will probably develop.
Yeah. I mean, both are made by
It'll be very
Warner
similar.
Brothers, so maybe that was intentional.
Yeah. Well, I like their style.
So yeah, I think, but yeah, Kite Man, we definitely both recommend it, even though this was maybe not the best episode, unfortunately. We will still recommend it. Please go watch the show. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's not very long. It's like 20 to 25 minutes per episode. So
Yeah.
not a ton of time out of your
Perfect for you on
day.
your lunch
And
break.
you'll nose exhale, maybe laugh a couple times, who knows. But overall, Kite Man, we both recommend it. And yeah, I think I think you guys will have a lot of fun with it. But we are going to move on a little bit from Kite Man, going from supervillains to superheroes. We're going to move on to Superman. Now, as I mentioned before, it has been, revealed to us that James Gunn's Superman movie merch is restocking after selling out. Now, as I mentioned before, uh, a couple days ago, I believe it was sometime last week during Comic-Con, they released, merchandise at Comic-Con, and they were sold out in like minutes at Comic-Con. Like they went through like everything they had in like minutes. But the big thing was online. Now, online's a different story. But you could pre-order the shirts and shirts, caps, tumbler mugs, and wife
I like the
beaters
cat.
and
Yeah.
sweatshirts and all that. And the thing is,
Mhm.
you could have gotten these for a bit, but only for like an hour because they sold out. They sold out in an hour, and now they're finally be able to restock it. So hopefully you can get new pre-orders for this, get them while they're hot. So you know what? One of the few times I would say stop watching and go get it now so you can get it before they, hell, probably we're making this because this was from yesterday. So you know what? They're probably already out of stock again. But feel free to go try
Yeah.
after the stream. They actually have my size. So I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can pre-order one. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think the main reason I wanted to talk about this and I wanted to know your thoughts about this is like I hate to, mention the haters too much because they're haters and they don't have a life out of hating. But they have said that like nobody's going to be excited for this movie. Who
True.
wants to see a new Superman movie? Who wants to see a Superman movie directed by James Gunn or
Mm.
without Henry Cavill? Who wants to see this movie? Or like how Fantastic Four is going to bury it because that's Marvel and they've been a well-oiled machine for years, even though
Mm.
they've been hit and miss, mainly miss past few years. But
Yeah.
with
All the
with
fear
even
mongering.
with all of that said, considering I know it's something very small, just as small as merch, but with how this sold out in like
Yeah.
less than a day, less than half a day, less than a quarter of a day, all this merch, boom, like that. Would you say that that shows that people are more than ready for James Gunn's Superman? Would you say that people are stoked for this movie?
Um, I don't know much about market research, but those statistics seem pretty good. It seems, yeah, like they've got a lot of interest, obviously, not just at Comic Con, but online as well. And as you said, pre-orders are probably also going to be sold out soon. Um, so yeah, I say that's a big sign to the haters that they don't even know what's coming. That's what I think. I mean, people are clearly excited, and as you we were talking about this a little bit before, and you were talking about some of these items. They're not cheap either. It's like
No.
what, like 50 $40 $50 for an item. So
Yeah,
people aren't just going to spend that unless they think it's worth it, and they're clearly
exactly.
excited. And honestly, I think excitement can be very contagious. It's actually making me excited about the film, because if other people are excited, then it's like, well, they must think there's something good coming. And then I think
Right.
that's just how it rolls. And I think once we get a really good trailer out, I mean, it's not due till next summer, but I think
Right.
once things start happening, it's just going to build that frenzy even more. And this is already a really great sign for the studios, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think it just I know fans can be a little bit crazy when it comes to something they love. It's like I'll pay anything. But I think it
Right.
shows that like people are more than willing to accept this new iteration, this new Brave New World,
Yeah.
especially when there's superhero fatigue and there's like Marvel has just I
Mm.
feel like Marvel kind of lost the trust of the audience a little bit. Not totally, but I remember hearing I
Yeah.
think it was at the screening. There was a screening at I don't know if it was at Comic-Con or like it was somewhere in the world. It was a screening of Deadpool and Wolverine, and Kevin Feige's name got mentioned, and like half the audience started booing. Like, and that was just in some small, like, I think it was like I think it was in Toronto or something, where just the crowd started booing just from, and
Wow.
usually people don't really pay attention to like behind the scenes people. It's like usually it's the actors that even the general audience is like, oh, I know
Right. No one
Jennifer
knows who they
Lawrence,
are.
I
Mhm.
know Henry Cavill, like I know, like nobody really pays attention to the
But you don't know the
directors or the
producer.
writers or anything like that. But Kevin Feige,
Right.
the producer of like all these movies and the CEO of Marvel Studios, all that stuff, nobody really pays attention to that. But the fact that people are going out of their way to boo him, it just goes to show how
The
just
hate.
like that Marvel is just kind of losing
Yeah.
that trust a little bit. And the fact you have that Marvel distrust, you have still have a shit ton of DC distrust after what they did to the DCEU and the revolving door of CEOs that we got at that point, and two different deals that
Right.
happened both with AT&T and with Discovery, and it's been kind of a shit
Mhm.
show at Warner Brothers. So the fact that people are still even something as small as
Yeah.
buying a t-shirt, it shows that yeah, maybe there is more of an open arms heart wave of people wanting to give this a chance. And I think that's really cool. I think that's really awesome. And
Yeah.
I don't know,
And
does that
yeah, I
get you
agree.
even more excited? The fact that people are actually really starting
It
to care
does.
about this.
Yes. I mean, it actually does. And I think a lot of what you're saying does ring very true. Even I'll speak for myself, but I feel like I also feel the same way, where it's like, Marvel movie after Marvel movie after Marvel movie. They are all so cookie cutter in a way, it feels a lot of the times. And I think that's what really builds the fatigue. I do think that people still are interested in superheroes and people still love superhero movies,
Mhm.
but they can't all be the same. They can't all be different
Exactly.
characters, but same story, same idea. It's exhausting. That's, I think, people want something fresh and new. And I think I think I know it's been crazy at DC, but I do think some of the some of our saving grace has come from James Gunn spearheading things, and then
Yeah.
assigning different teams for each project, giving creative control. I think that's huge, and I think that's a great sign for the audience to know that these aren't going to be cookie cutter movies. They're going to
No, I
have
don't think so.
different visions based on the different directors doing them. So I mean that gets me excited, and I think people are starting to kind of maybe people that were like hardcore Marvel fans are, I think, maybe looking for another option, and they see that in DC now. I think they're and this is just speculation, but I do think that people still want something to fill that superhero need in a way that is much more engaging and exciting, and I'm really hoping that this whole universe is really gonna be as strong as we hope,
Yeah.
because it seems like it will be. It seems like
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna have
couldn't
a
have
good
said it better
foundation.
myself. I've been like kind of gassing up the DCU for a while now. It's just like I feel like ever since I became part of DCU Daily, I've just gotten more and more excited because I initially was like, oh, James Gunn is gonna fucking be
Yeah.
the CEO of this. Oh, this is gonna be terrible. This is gonna suck. But then, like, once more and more information started to get out, how he's like, no, it's not going to be like my typical fare. I'm going to be treating this with respect. Because he's like, now I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah.
Because initially, when he was given the Suicide Squad, he had the option to do a Superman movie, but he's like, I don't think I can do that yet. But then he had to wait to feel comfortable. He's like, you know what? Let me do it now. So now he's doing it, and now he's thinks he's ready, and he's like, I just wanted to make a movie about a good man in a world that isn't so good anymore. And I'm like, that's just that is the elevator pitch of
Yeah.
Superman. That's him. That's the character. So I'm
That's
like,
what
you
we
know what?
need. Yeah.
Even if the movie is not the greatest ever, I think the attempt is there to like really nail the character, and I
Right.
really appreciate that, and the fact that like these projects aren't getting greenlit until they have the proper writing team or like writer, director, all that. So they're only properly getting greenlit once they have a writer, and they're getting a release date once they have a proper timeline. They're like, and you know what? That's respectable
Right.
because, like, yeah, Marvel has that well-oiled machine, but I feel like that well-oiled machine is not well-oiled anymore. It's
It's
kind
pumping
of
out
there's some
garbage.
pistons and gas, and like
Exactly.
some gears are missing, and now it's kind of like a machine
Right.
that's chugging along, not necessarily well-oiled anymore.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
So,
I think too it's almost like that if I can, I love analogies. So if I can make one that works here, I almost feel like it's
sure.
it's like how things become automated, and it's like, oh great, we could have like a ton of products just made in this little machine, but now we're at the point where you get so much of that we're just sick of it, and we're like, it's all the
Yeah,
same, nothing is unique anymore, and we want our handcrafted artisan things. That's what we want. We'll
exactly.
pay more for that because we are craving something that is special. And yeah, even as an artist myself, I do acting,
Both
and
of us, yes.
it's just the number one thing. Yeah, the number one thing is story. That is important, and it's a great sign to hear someone say, "Could I do that? I could, but I'm not excited about that project right now. I'm going to wait until I am." And when they're excited about it, and that
Hmm.
they have a vision, that's when I can get excited about it, because I know that they're not just doing it because they have to. It's
For the
because
sake
they
of doing
choose
it.
to, which means they're going
Exactly.
to exactly, which means it's I think gonna show up a lot more in their work. So
Yeah,
I'm excited.
it is funny you say that. It reminds me of that quote, but yeah, it's like how this is seems like more creative than more like pumping out a product. But the fact that he chose to do it reminds
Exactly.
me of the famous quote from Batman Forever. He's like, "I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman, not because I have to be, but I choose to be." And so, if
Yes.
James Gunn is Batman, he's choosing to do this not because he has to, but he chooses to. He wants to do
Mm.
this. So, with that, speaking of Batman, though, the last, thing that we have is Batman Cape Crusader. It's been getting
Yes.
some mixed to positive reviews. Some say it's like
Okay.
it's even better than the animated Batman the animated series. Oh my god, the noir tone is great, the animation's great, but some have said it lacks the emotional depth. A lot of the, it's kind of maybe creatively bankrupt. It kind of has a lot of Bruce Timm isms that people are getting sick of. But for the most part, it's mixed to positive. So I think that's a good thing. But the thing we wanted to share today was something really cool that that came across my eye a little bit, was the fact that they released these really cool episode titles that I just love this. I think this is just so cool, and it's definitely reminiscent
That
of
is.
the animated series, which I assume that they were going for. Like these little cool
Right.
like gifts and all that. So I think this is, we have like, and these old school type like Kiss of the Catwoman and the Night of the Hunter, obviously referencing
Yeah.
that famous film. And it has like a tease to the villains. Like this has like Firebug, that had Catwoman, and this is like Harlequin, and this might be the Scarecrow, and this is all just real. And then Automatopoeia. Like it's definitely has that old school
Yeah.
noir vibe that I'm like really getting into. That's like the
Yes.
one thing. Killer Inside Me, which is based on an old 50s pulp novel, same name. And then like Savage Night. Like this
Yeah.
is like, I think this is like really cool, sort of it's just like
Like
bringing in that
promotional.
idea. Yeah, the old school idea, but like modernizing it a little bit. And I think that's pretty cool. Like it's nothing major.
Yeah.
But it's,
Yeah.
it is reminding you
But it's
guys,
like,
go watch go watch Cape
yeah.
Crusader, by the way, after you're done with watching us. We'll go watch Cape Crusader. But anyway, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It is a little thing, but I feel the same way. That kind of stuff actually gets me excited. It's like, that looks real dope, and I really want to go check that out because I just love what they did here. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really fun, and I want to be excited for it more so, but I have like no expectations. I have a little bit too many problems with it, but like at least the animation looks great. At least it like kind of has that vibe of the animated series, and
Yeah.
and you get these like really cool posters. So like it may not be much, but I think that's we gotta keep people excited. But yes, although, quick question: are you going to be watching Batman Cape Crusader, or are you just gonna, kind of give it a skip? I know you said you don't watch a lot of animated stuff, so I'm curious.
Yes, I looked at the trailer and I was like, I don't know if it's my cup of tea. Like, as I said, I really liked what I love about Kite Man is just how it's so comedic and funny, and I love that. And it's also like, yeah, I really like that whole like style and vibe. This is obviously much more, seems, if I'm not wrong, much more serious and
Yep.
straight tone. And um, I feel like I should definitely give it a chance. So I will watch it. We'll see if I get through all 10 episodes. But yeah, I do feel like I wanna at least be able to
Give it a
not judge it
chance.
without seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it is going for more like detective mystery noir, which I feel like is the driving force behind like Batman now, because I feel like after the Zack Snyder version, which was very heavy in action, they're like, okay, let's
Right.
go through the more detective side. That's what the Batman, that was like the main
Yes, the
driving force
Sherlock
behind the
Holmes
Batman.
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he is
Yeah.
based on Sherlock Holmes. He is the world's greatest detective, that is. So they're like, they really want to showcase that. So with the Batman, even though
Yeah.
he didn't really do a lot of detective work there, it had a more noir vibe. And then Batman Cape Crusader was more of a, intriguing little what is the word for it? Like, like, even though it's detective vibe, whatever. But and then you have with Batman Cape Crusader is like, again, that noir sort of vibe. So I feel like this is kind of like a little bit of a new era for Batman, a little bit. Like we're getting into more of like that like detective side. And I think that's pretty cool. And I'm curious, it's like, is that something you're interested in terms of like the noir detective vibe, or you're like, no, I like my Batman who's like actiony or is like spouting one-liners or that kind of thing, or is like George Clooney
Actually, it's a
or Val
great.
Kilmer?
Yeah, that's a great. That's a great question because actually, I think I would love to, like, I love mystery things in general, like mystery books and movies. And if it is more like that, I think I will actually like that better because I don't like the actiony so much. If there's
There
so
you
much
go.
action that it gets, I don't know, I start to like my brain just zones out.
Repetitive.
Um, so yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not.
So
I
I
love
think this
watching
might be for
stunts
you.
and stuff, but
I
yeah,
think
maybe
with
I'll come
that, I
back and be
think
like the only glowing review.
yeah. With that, I think you'll definitely like this because it's like I think it takes place in the 20s specifically. Like again, very pulpy, like
Mhm.
The Shadow, Doc Savage, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's definitely for going for more of that vibe, which I like. Like I'm so torn because it's like there's a lot of things I don't like, but there's a lot of things I'm excited for. So I'm just going in with no expectations.
Yeah.
Like I'm not expecting Batman the animated series, but I'm not expecting like Beware the Batman or something like that. So that's I think all
Right.
we can, really hope for. But
We
I
can hope
think
for. Yeah.
I think this will have its audience. And it is getting a second season no matter what. So hopefully
Mhm.
if this season isn't that great, then they'll improve upon it with the next season. So guess we can hope for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But
absolutely. No, yeah, I will definitely be checking it out.
but yeah, so that is it for DCU Daily today. So our recommendations: go watch Kite Man, the newest episode. Go order a shirt before they go
Mhm.
out of stock, and go watch the entirety of Batman Cape Crusader on Prime Video. By the way, Kite Man is on Max. But yeah, that is all for our show today. Smash the like button, comment, notifications on, because we've had people recently complaining that they aren't getting notifications when we go live. So please, notification. I know people are sick of hearing that
Yes.
from everybody, but please, if you want to, and if you like what you
Smash the
saw
like
today,
button. Subscribe.
yes, go subscribe, go, notifications on, like everything, do all the things, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your arch enemies, tell your family, tell everybody, hey, go watch DCU Daily. They're awesome. But with all of that
Yes.
said, that is it for today's episode. We both hope you enjoyed. So go watch everything, go order shirts, go order caps, and have a good rest of your night,
So
everybody.
much to do. Yes.